It goes the gunshot wound of the head. A. The injury, proliferation of the left internal.
Grant letters of administration and for other relief. To Christine Wells Wansley. All right. And I'm going to explain to you what this document does and a couple things it's for. When a death occurs under an unknown, unusual, or non-natural circumstance, the case file and evidence are routinely turned over to a grand jury for an independent review. Okay? So Officer Tatum concluded the interview with Warren, who was one of the last boys to see Nolan Wells. And this last interview answered some questions. Now, there still are some questions that have not been answered fully, like maybe why the cell phone took so long, but a lot of questions did get answered. And not only that, is there more lying going on the Ben Crump side to try and expose maybe some sort of narrative? Let's get down to it. Fugitive TV, stay tuned. Welcome to Fugitive TV, and I am your host, Ray Marcel. And what we do here is we take a look at cases of missing individuals, cases of unsolved crime, true crime, and then what we do is we give it a deeper look, a different perspective, because I was once a fugitive on the run from the law myself. I ran for 15 years, lived in different countries under different names. Then I eventually turned myself in. Now I'm a motivational speaker. I help other family members locate missing individuals and even trying to help them locate fugitives that have done something horrific to another family member. Now, for those of you guys that's been following me, as you see, my background's different. I am currently out of state right now working on something. And I will be back in a few days. But just because I'm out of state working on something else does not mean that these cases stop. So we are still talking about Nolan Wells. You guys know I've been on this for probably about the last week and a half. I've been on Nolan Wells ever since it's pretty much almost happened. Okay. And I have been giving you testimony pretty much from both sides. And Nolan Wells is the young man who unfortunately lost his life off the coast of Mississippi. He went to Horn Island with a group of friends, and a group of friends came back, but he didn't. He ended up washing ashore on Horn Island. They found him July 6th. And the trip they went out there was July 4th, so they found him 2 days later. Well, you guys know, if you've been following my channel, I've been showing you, and not only that, exposing a lot of things that we are being told by big media, which is really not the truth. For example, my last video, I actually showed you official police reports that the family that's being blamed for what happened to Nolan Wells, Ben Crump, has been coming out pretty much saying that, hey, the family's not cooperating. They haven't been investigated to the fullest, all kind of things. Well, in my last video, I showed you guys this is not true. I've obtained official reports. I've obtained search waivers where they actually signed off waivers for them to search and seize their boats. Take a look at this. So guys, do you know what this is right here? Let me move this over so you can see it. Mississippi Department of Marine Resources, Office of Marine Patrol, permission to search. Permission to search. Marine Patrol performed a search on the boats. So all this talk about we need a clear and transparent investigation. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say there's like no cover up. I can't guarantee you that. But what I can guarantee you is people have been cooperating. Now, 3 boats were involved when Nolan Wells left with his group. And I got an email I told you guys saying that 3 boats were involved. And it was a group of kids and they were all drinking. So, and we know they're drinking because the pictures, you can see them with Michelob Lights and the High Noons in their hands. So we know they were drinking. It's 4th of July weekend. And then I showed you guys the full dispatch call. And you could tell they were on the boat when their boat was sinking. It was full of water. You can tell that they were panicking. First of all, they're under their age and they're drinking and they got to call Cito. So you can kind of tell they're panicking, right? Well, two of the boats have been searched because I showed you guys those documents. Now there's a third boat. I don't know about the third boat. I haven't got paperwork for that, so I don't know. But two of the boats, the two main boats, which is the Triton, which is the boat that Nolan went in on, and the boat that Nolan left his phone on. And not only that, there's another boat called the Palm Beach, which I showed you guys before this interview even came out. I said it looks like a Palm Beach behind these two, behind the picture of Nolan Wells. I wonder if this boat is with them. Pretty much everything I have said in my past, probably like 4 videos so far, has been verified. Now, we all want the truth of what happened to Nolan Wells. All of us do. We want to know if there is foul play or if it was just an accident or if it was something that, he did by himself, which was accidental, which happens in the water, drinking. It happens. I live in Florida and we see it all the time, unfortunately. So, but we all want the truth. But the one thing that we don't do here is start blaming when there's no evidence to blame. And a lot of people start blaming the 3 boys, even though there's no concrete evidence. Okay, all because of it took so long to get the cell phone. Why didn't Nolan have a cell phone on him? And I've been saying for days now, for a few videos, it's common for people when they go to the beach. Now we're not talking about the pool, but to the beach, when you're getting on these boats and you're in the ocean, it is very common that when you're in the water, you leave your phone on the boat or in a dry bag because it's salt water. You don't want to ruin your $1,000 or more phone, so you leave it on the boat. So it's common. A lot of us, I said this in a video, a lot of us have left us, we go to the pool and don't even take our phone in the pool water. A lot of us will leave our phones on the our seat where our towels at, or put it in our shoe, things like that. A lot of us won't even take our phone and put it in our pocket and go swimming with it. So the whole notion of you always should have your phone with you in the water, that's not true, because I can go right now outside to the pool and film and you see people's phones on the benches, where they're supposed to be sitting at. So that wasn't enough proof for me to blame somebody. I need concrete evidence. And this is what we do here in Fugitive TV. We try and give you concrete evidence and we try and give you a real motive of to why. Now, if there's foul play, I've been saying this, there's 1,000 people on that island, 1,000 people. Why isn't not everybody looking at everybody else? We have another person that's involved, Katie. Katie was also seen with him last, but why is nobody talking about her? And if there's any motive that could be related to her, could there have been an ex-boyfriend on the island? Nobody wants to mention that, but they want to blame the other people. Which I was like, that's fine, but that's not something we're going to do here because, like I said, there's no clear motive. I've heard all kind of people talking, but there's no clear reason as into why. And no, he was not the only black person on the island. I've had people email me, but he was the only black. He was not.
I mean, obviously, he stands out. I think, the only black person I saw when I'm looking at the videos.
You had his friend Javon there. You had, I think his name was Tristan, who's actually done an interview, and he's got a new interview coming up. And even I have pictures of more than one black person on the island. So I even personally have, which if you go back, go look at my videos, you'll see I freeze framed. I'm like, wait, there's another one right here. So he wasn't the only one. But still, even if he was the only one, even if he was, to me, that's still not enough proof of, okay, he's the only one. Let's find. Well, the proof needs to be, we need to find facts. So the facts is I showed you all the evidence. I showed you all the police statements. I showed you everything I could. Now, like I said, the police statements is like 40 something pages, but I showed you what was most important. There's another girl who's in the police statement, which is very questionable, I think, but nobody wants to talk about her.
So this is where it gets interesting. This right here, guys, listen to this. On July 5th, 2026, at approximately 11:55 hours, Mississippi Department of Marine Resources, Office of Marine Patrol Master Sergeant received a call from Captain to locate and interview a female subject that was possibly involved with the missing person on Horn Island. Officer reported to the residents of, the name's been, and the address has been redacted, who was initially reported to be on Horn Island with a group of people associated with Nolan Wells. When interviewed, she stated that she had already spoken with Jackson County Sheriff's Department investigators and stated that she was not on Horn Island, but in fact was on Petit Boy Island with a different group of friends. She stated that she knew Wells but had not seen or spoken with him in over a year. So there was a female. I don't know how her name got brought up, but some sort of way her name got brought up.
Now, for the longest time, they were saying that the boys lawyered up. Nobody was talking. Nobody wasn't saying anything. And when I first got on this case, okay, because you have to dig through all the BS to try and find the truth, I was thinking, whoa, they lawyered up. I can see why they would lower up, but they're not saying anything on top of that. Interesting. That's not the case whatsoever. Officer Tatum, whether you like him or you hate him, went down to Mississippi and interviewed Warren himself. Okay, went down there and interviewed Warren, and he's also showing people text messages. Okay, phone proof of that the family has reached out to Nolan Wells's family, and guess what? Crickets. Nobody has replied back. So the judge, Ashley Cole, who everybody was saying she's a judge, she's hiding something and stuff like that. Well, this lady actually texted Nolan's mom saying, hey, we need to talk. And Nolan's mom never texted her back.
He's known them, and I was wondering also if you folks have spoken to those families since they lawyered up.
High school friends.
Is when we kind of down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Say the second part again.
Have they talked to the families? No.
I haven't spoken.
Last question. They haven't spoken to the families.
Thanks so much for having us. I want to speak to.
That's it.
So she gets on there and she says they haven't spoken to the family or did anything like that, alluding to the fact that as if the family haven't tried to communicate with her since you lowered up, meaning that they lowered up and they haven't heard any contact from the family. Well, here is Ashley Cole, the stepmama who's a judge is what they say, and she's a family law judge. She's not even a criminal judge. So, they want to make her out to be like she's going to interfere with the case. She don't have no leverage to interfere with the case, to be quite honest. But anyway, this is her, and we got this leaked.
And this text message, which I found kind of odd because people want to say, hey, if Nolan Wells was so-called best friends with Warren and them, why were they never at Nolan's house? Okay, why, if they been friends since 8th grade, why they were never at Nolan's house? Warren said Nolan was always over at his house, but they were never over at Nolan's house, okay? I don't know about you guys, but I had friends growing up to where I would go over their house. I remember I had a friend named Josh. Josh was white, and he had a refrigerator full of snacks and a kitchen full of food. And I would be at his house every day after school because I know he had all the food. I knew he had all the snacks. He had double stuffed Oreos. He had the Cocoa Puffs. He had everything you want, Cookie Crisp cereal. And we used to be able to just go over there and just eat what we want, okay? We couldn't do that at my house, but it was allowed at his house. So we used to go over to Josh's house all the time, do that, and play Super Nintendo, whatever it was. And I'd go over there for a couple hours, and then I would leave and go back home. So it all depends on the friend's dynamic of what's going on. And then he has his other friend, Javon, okay? And Javon is supposed to be a best friend too, right? Javon grew up with the family, and Javon's family is close with Nolan Wells' family. So it's a different type of atmosphere, right? Because both of the families are close. And the reason why I say this is because Warren had to reach out to Javon. When Warren found out that, hey, Nolan Wells was not back, nobody seen Nolan Wells reached out to Javon, which is Javon is friends of the family. And when he reached out to Javon, he had to reach out and pretty much ask, hey, have you seen Nolan? And Javon was like, no, I haven't. And then Warren asked for Nolan's mom's number. And then that's when Warren called Nolan's mom. So at first, a lot of people were saying that, hey, nobody never reached out to the parents. Nobody said anything, that the parents had to find out on their own, which was total BS. That was not the case. And he ended up calling Nolan's mom. And this is one thing Officer Tatum did show was the screenshot, which is right here. So as you see, he tried to call Nolan's mom first, but I guess she hung up because she didn't know the number. And then he called back again and they had a conversation. The conversation lasted 5 minutes. And I'll start thinking, like, if Nolan's missing when Warren called Javon, and I'm not saying Javon's responsible, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that, but why didn't Javon call Nolan's mom? So you get what I'm saying? Why is so much blame being put on a certain group of individuals, but nobody's looking at other people as well? Because Javon, he called Javon saying, hey, Nolan's missing. Javon's chilling, was like, oh, here's the number. I guess call his mom. Javon didn't even call the mom. So this is what I'm trying to say. Like I said, so I'm not putting blame on anybody. But what I'm saying is people are quick to jump the gun over something, but they're not looking at the entire situation. What if these boys are innocent and it was somebody else that did something because you're overlooking them? There's a lot of things that the Ben Crump side has done. And I'm not saying Nolan Wells' family, but I'm saying Ben Crump side as in Ben Crump and his team, okay? That since they've been involved almost from day one, it's like they've been throwing out certain narratives at us almost to excite people, and everything they've thrown out so far has been debunked.
This video of an argument that is going on, and you know, thank God all young people, they have cell phones, and anytime you hear people raising their voice, they start the video. And so you hear on the video Nolan saying, give me my freaking phone. What are you freaking doing?
Remember the pool party picture? Remember how they reposted the pool party picture? And then you had people coming on TikTok saying, oh yeah, I saw him at the pool party and he got beat up. And then people were running with this. But nobody went back and did the research on where the pool party picture actually came from and the time it was taken. The pool party picture was taken on June 27th. I debunked it myself before big media did. If you go back to my videos, I show you guys where it came from. I show you guys the date it was posted and everything. So I myself was even like, this pool party is not even from the same night. People were saying he got beat up at the pool party. They put him back on the boat, and then they took him back out to the island. Remember the people saying that? And there might be some of you guys watching this video still believing that. It's no possible way, because all you got to do is look at my last video. I give you all the GPS coordinates, okay, of the boats. So there's no way they could have did that, because all the GPS coordinates are written down by the Department of Marine Resources. So there's no way they could have done that. None of the boats went back out after they reached back to shore. You know, they didn't go back out to Horn Island. And not only that, that very next morning, there were so many boats out there, Coast Guard, drones, looking for Nolan. Matter of fact, Warren went back out there himself with, I think, his stepdad, he said, to go look for Nolan. Warren and Warren's stepdad went back out the next day to even go help look for Nolan. So it would have been very hard for anybody to go out there, dump the body off where he was last seen at, when you got Coast Guards, Rangers, people out there with drones looking in that area. It would have been, you most likely would have got caught. Okay, that would have been the worst time to do it, was right then. So that whole notion, I debunked that a while ago about the whole pool party. But Ben Crump put it out there without debunking anything. And then when they questioned him about it, you know, he got questioned and he just said, oh, it was just a repost. I'm not a lawyer. You should, when you repost something, at least try and put some sort of fact with it, not just repost and excite people. That was the wrong thing to do. Then he comes out and says that the family tried to make no contact, as in Warren's family and everybody's family tried to make no contact with Nolan Wells' family. There needs to be a thorough and transparent investigation, and they need to be interrogated. He was saying they lawyered up, didn't talk. He was saying all this. But I showed you guys in my last video, they've talked more than once. They've talked with local law enforcement and Marine Department of Resources through Mississippi, okay? They've talked to both of them. And now there's text messages showing that they've been reaching out to Nolan's family. So there's a lot of things on the Crump side, even with the autopsy. I had to physically get the autopsy results and read them and show you guys exactly what they said and exactly why the throat was kept, why there could have been possible redness in the back of the head from pooling of blood, which can happen after the body has been located and laid on his or her back. I had to show you guys this. Now, I'm not saying there's no foul play, but the thing is, we keep hearing we want clear and transparent information. We want a clear and transparent investigation. How many times have we heard this?
Reverend Al's answer to your question, what is transparency to us? It is truly having a fair and impartial investigation.
So far on your side, it hasn't been clear or transparent at all. So there's a lot of things you're saying, even with the whole Cajun Navy. Oh, he was found fully clothed, and you got people up in arms. He was not found fully clothed, and the Cajun Navy had to come out and say that. Say, don't twist our words. So he was not found fully clothed. He was found just with his shorts on like people last seen him. So far on your end, it hasn't been clear and transparent. So if you're doing this, why should people trust anything you're going to even say in the future? I'm just asking the question. Now, this raised the question. Do you think it is a money grab? Do you think it's a money grab? Now, I'm going to show you guys something that I did find, because Mississippi or Jackson County, they did come out with a statement saying why they have not released the autopsy. And they also said that when they're going to release the autopsy. So let me show you something. So they said that it's standard procedure when there is a suspicious death that everything goes to grand jury. So a lot of people are saying, well, what are they hiding? What are they hiding? Well, right here, Mississippi grand jury when a death is unknown. It says under Mississippi standard, guys, legal procedure outlined by the office of the district attorney, okay? Judicial process. When a death occurs under an unknown, unusual, or non-natural circumstance, the case file and evidence are routinely turned over to a grand jury for an independent review. Okay? Then it says, by law in Mississippi, grand jury sessions happen entirely behind closed doors. No judge, no defense attorney, or family members is allowed in the room. Now, I know this. Okay, this is why they say a grand jury can sometimes convict a ham sandwich, because there's no defense there. All right. And it says participants, only the grand jurors, the prosecutor, and some witnesses are present while evidence is heard. The prosecutor leaves during deliberations and voting. So they don't want to disclose the results to us publicly. They want to disclose it to a grand jury. Now everybody's up in arms over that. They got to be hiding something. It says here, guys, it's standard procedure. In a lot of counties, this is standard procedure when a death is unknown. Here's the thing. You could be having a grand jury done on you right now, and you won't even know it. And that's how sometimes charges just come up on you. Oh, I'm indicted now because there was a grand jury on you and you didn't even know it. They don't even want you to know. They don't want to put that information out there. They want to keep a lot of things close to the vest because think about this. If they put out the autopsy results, right, before the grand jury, and let's just say there was a foul play. Let's just say there was a stab wound somewhere. Let's just say, for example, okay? Now we're all, oh, we got, now you can have people lying because now we all know how he passed, okay? Then you can have somebody that might have the weapon that did the stab, toss it out, whatever it is. Now you got people get on the stand line. Now you got people calling in line. Hey, Sarah had a knife and I think I saw her just to get that $100,000 reward. So there's a reason why they don't reveal causes of death sometimes or how many times a person's been shot exactly. The Monique Tepe case. We didn't know exactly at first how many times each of them was shot. We didn't know. We heard 4, we heard 5. Now we know it was multiple times for both of them. I'm talking about a lot. But at first we did not know. Okay, so there's a lot of things they keep close to the vest before they release everything out to the public, so that way people don't get up in arms, people aren't lying, and people aren't trying to hide evidence. So after me telling you all this, is this a money grab? And the reason why I say this is because Ben Crump is a civil attorney. Civil, not criminal. Okay? Not criminal whatsoever. So he can do an investigation. He can try and question people. He can do these type of things. Now, do we know if he's questioning anybody? As far as Warren said none of his team has even talked to them. So if none of his team has went and talked to Warren and them, then what type of investigation is he even doing? If he's doing one. Because if you're looking at them, wouldn't you want to question them? He's civil. He's not criminal. Now, a family can hire a criminal attorney even if they have, they're the victims and the prosecutions there. You can still hire a criminal attorney, but they have a civil attorney. Then you have the paperwork that was filed in court, okay, which I showed you guys, for Christina to take over Nolan's estate. This paperwork is standard procedure filed before you do a civil lawsuit. Every case Ben Crump has been attached to has been some sort of civil lawsuit. Please tell me one that wasn't. He's a civil attorney.
It goes the gunshot wound of the head. A, the injury, proliferation of the left internal subra. Now I'm looking at this word because I know it's not subdural artery, but it's
So are some of these things being thrown out at us so it could be just a money grab? And I'm just asking a fair question, whether you think so or you don't think so. Why was a civil attorney doing this? Why is a civil attorney who wants clear, transparent investigation not giving us clear, transparent information? Why is a civil attorney who wants a proper investigation not going out investigating properly? Why does it feel like I have more investigation and evidence on this than it does them? Now, I'm not saying they don't, but why does it feel that way? Okay. So it's just a fair question. You guys let me know below what you think. All right. Like I said, if there is foul play, then we should be looking at everybody, not just these three. It should be everybody. There's 1,000 people on the island. Okay. So doing all these cases that I have done, I'm out of state doing a case right now. So doing all these cases I have done, I have to realize you have to look always, because you never know when a clue might hit you in the face. And if your soul's tunnel vision, that clue's gonna hit you in the face and just fall to the floor and you're gonna keep walking. So please let me know below. What do you think? Okay, please like and subscribe. My goal was to reach 30,000 subscribers by the end of the summer. And guys, we're almost at 35,000 subscribers, and the summer's not even over with yet. I'm one of the fastest growing YouTube channels. Please join the membership if you can. It helps support the channel, helps me do this full time, and helps me, do what I have to do to help other family members find missing individuals. And not only that, I have the products below. Please take a look at that. If you like anything. But if not, just like and subscribe, comment below. The algorithm helps towards the channel growth. Thank you guys so much. Please love one another, like one another, and look out your surroundings. Watch your surroundings. Until next time, this is Fugitive TV, and I'm out.